Hey, y'all. You're listening to Break Free with T. Marie, the podcast where we unlock mindsets, shake systems, and break free into your purpose, your power, and your peace. I'm your host, T. Marie, the visionary, the edupreneur, and your break free coach. Hey, family, welcome back. Here's the thing this week has been crazy. If you notice, look, I just got on at 6:06, literally bobbing and weaving through traffic to get here. As I'm coming up the steps, what was I hearing? That's the life, right? This is the life of an entrepreneur. I call myself an edupreneur because I'm an educator who is an entrepreneur who's an educator, right? But this is the life, like you sign up for it, you make them sacrifices. I talked about it the last time we met. Like, how do you show up for everybody? But more importantly, how do you show up for yourself? This episode, we're going to talk about something that I think, is very important in the very, very early stages, but also in the duration of your entrepreneurial journey, and that's support, or more importantly, what support looks like. I'm going to go right into something right from the beginning and from my heart. This weekend, my my main business, Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. Shout out to my school, K through 12 school, right in Concord, North Carolina, servicing the children for us, by us. Um, but we had an event, and this event was so powerful and so well attended and so well supported. And I was able to, in this event, sit back, kind of tell a few folks what I needed right at the last minute, but it was well planned leading up to it. So I didn't have to do too much of that. And literally, I'm gonna be real with y'all because we family now, right? Sat back and put my makeup on. I was chit chatting to a couple of people because I don't have an artist. I'm not that person. I do my own makeup. So I had a person, come in and chit chat while I was doing my makeup. But for the most part, I was chilling, right? And I've had events in the past. I've done pop-up shops and just community events for my cheerleading company that I used to have. And a lot of that was on my shoulders. Now, let me stop and do a purpose pause here. Some of that was a me problem because I talked about trauma in our last time meeting. When you're traumatized, you kind of have that I'll do it myself, right? I got this. If one person tell you no, then boom, you on go. Like, you'll never ask anyone again. Wrong mentality to have. I said it in the last episode. You have to have a team, right? You cannot do anything alone without a team. So my team, I just happen to have two because I have two companies. And so it was very important to make sure that both of them were in place and could do and bring to the table what I needed to make this thing grow. And so my Kingdom Kid board stepped in, did the lift, like the heavy lift. Then I solicited my impact board to do some other little things that were kind of like outliers. And together, the two units put together something that I could truly be proud of, and more importantly, see the results of. Because today, hence the reason I'm late today we had our first day of summer camp, our HEAL summer camp. HEAL stands for, let me just sidebar, that is the Kingdom Kids core competency or core value system. HEAL stands for H is holistic health, mind, body, and spirit. E stands for economic and entrepreneurship. A stands for the academic success of our thoughtful thinkers, or what I call our students, right? And L stands for leadership, with an asterisk under followership, because my little thing that I stand on is, you can't have a great leader if you don't have good followers, right? Like, you can't have a great church and the leader be the leader and all the people in the pews are the leader too. Like, you can't have all the chiefs, right? And no Indians. So we forget that often. And a lot of us as parents, we program our kid, be a leader. But sometimes if you see differently in your child, you need to provoke them to be strong followers, meaning they still have a voice that can be executed. They still have a voice that can make a change, right? If they told a leader, yeah, it's a no, we're not going to take you there, right? They could essentially change the dynamic of an impactful event, good or bad, right? So I sidebar that, but you got to have good followers. And so this event, like I said, it turned out to be something that I couldn't imagine. And so today we had our first day at summer camp. I had to blow through traffic to get from Concord to get to Uptown Charlotte, but I did it, right? I showed up for myself, but let me go back and not get it beside myself. It all started from the team, right? It all started from support. And so that's what this episode is going to be about. What does it look like? I'm pausing again because I'm just being reflective. When I left my show, the first one I did, if I'm gonna get transparent with you all, I was a little sad. I was excited that I did a great job, right? Like that it felt good, it felt natural. I got some positive feedback. But there were certain people that I thought should have been there to support me, and they weren't. And so I felt some kind of way. So I sat on that thing. But I remember my pastor preaching something probably 2 weeks before that, and it was don't make it a thing. Like, don't make it a thing. And I wanted to make it a thing. I wanted to be like, how dare you not support me? Like, what's up? And one of the people said to me, I mean, you always doing good things. And I kind of took that as well, that doesn't mean don't still support me, right? That still means support me. But when I backtracked and I got more reflective, I started digging down deeper and saying, that's actually a compliment, right? And then it made me think about this next podcast, this next episode about what it really looks like for people to support you, how you support yourself, how you support other people. But more importantly, what does support really look like? So that we can not make it a thing, right? And so I evolved. I had a week off. We had the holiday, and I wrote this podcast. I put some notes together, and I'm gonna share them with you. Like some of the things are just not a thing. It's just not that deep, right? So let me just go into it. Defining support. Let's start here. I'm gonna read my notes because I'm a note taker, I'm an educator, and a businesswoman. So I have to make sure that I have my stuff just right, right? What does support even look like on the entrepreneurial journey? Because if you're waiting on a big check or 100 likes, okay, the likes, you might miss the quiet, steady hands holding you down behind the scenes. That is so powerful. And let me just talk about the likes for a minute. They don't mean nothing. First of all, you can still get monetized with 2 likes. Okay, let me just tell y'all, give you free game. You can still get monetized on Facebook and have 2 likes on every one of your posts. Because at the end of the day, just because they're not liking, they're watching. Okay. And so look at your analytics. How many views do you have? Right. And then look when Facebook tell you we owe you a check. Free game. Okay. Keep going. And so the steady hands that's behind the scenes. These are the people who are this weekend, my husband, very quiet. He came and cut all the grass for me at the school. My kids were there serving hot dogs. They gave up their Saturday to be there. The people on my team giving up their Saturday, putting resources together, making phone calls. Like some people are going to show up for you in the front, but guess what else? Some people going to pray for you on the back. And we got to make that a thing, right? Because at the end of the day, those prayers will sustain and carry you when the likes go away, when people don't show up to serve hot dogs or cut grass or bring you all the things. Those prayers that are silent, that we tend to think, oh, because I didn't see it out in front, right? It's not happening. Those are probably the ones that when you want to give up is what's going to give you that extra push or that extra battery in your back. So let's keep it gully. All right. So here's some types of support. Let's roll with it. Get your notepads out. Okay. Emotional. That's encouragement, accountability, presence. So those are the people that's there right there in the trenches, 10 toes. They're right there for you. Right. And so they're your emotional support. Practical. People who are going to watch them chaps. They're going to watch the kids for you. They're going to give you admin help. They're going to run your business behind the scenes. And you don't necessarily have to pay them, right? They're just like, hey, I'll pick up the slack here. I'm good at, following up on emails. I put a post up yesterday and said, I need an assistant. And I got a couple inboxes like, hey, I can help you. And I really appreciate that. Shout out to all the people who said they can help me in some form or fashion, right? That's support, right? And some of them are going to want to get paid. Some of them are going to say, I just want to see you win and I just want to be there. If you can pay me down the line, bet. If you can't, I understand you just getting started, right? That's support. That is support. Somebody's reading your email, someone picking up your laundry for you because you just can't do it. Someone going to the hospital. My son is in the rehab, not for drugs. He has a traumatic brain injury. And he's in rehab. My mom was up there this week. My daughter was up there all day today. Like, I can't get there. I went from work, 7:45. I was at the school, got off at 5:15, dropped the children off at home, blew it here, got here 5 after 6 to be on here with you all. That's support, right? All right. Financial. We like these. Let's not get it twisted. We love our financial supporters, investors, donors, or paying clients. And it is a little side on time paying clients. Just a little something to say. But let's not get hung up on that. Let's not get hung up on that because there's always another side of it. Investors invest for a return on their investment. It's called an ROI, right? And so, yes, some people will give to you out of the goodness of their heart. They want to see you win. But a lot of times it's a business transaction, but nonetheless, it's still support because they believe in your vision, right? Just because someone wants something back on the back end, that's fair. That's fair game. But ultimately, there's still something to be given. So, grain of salt, some things, take it with how it is. It's still a level of support. Got it? Great. I talked about this before when I talked about the prayer, right? Your spiritual supporters, people who are going to pray for you, your therapist. Matter of fact, I gotta talk to my therapist. I haven't talked to him in 4 weeks, right? Because your girl, make sure she gets on that hour call. And if I don't talk about nothing but the bills, right? Just having someone to talk to with no judgment, but the ability for you to be heard, right? That's support. Now, again, that's transactional because I pay him, but there are other people who are sounding boards. There are other people. When I call my pastor, she talks to me. And one thing she told me from the very beginning is that I want you to be good, right? I want you to have a relationship with the Lord, not out here seeking something, but to really have a true relationship, not religion. And she said, I want my name to be on the card. When you say so-and-so said this about, and so-and-so said that, I want my name to be mentioned in that too, because I really want to see you do well. And so shout out to Pastor Booker. She is one of my spiritual people. But yeah, your prayer warriors, your therapists, and at the end of the day, your inner peace. For me too, going to school is part of therapy. So that's another piece of it. All right. So that's just another tea bag. That's just another bag to dip into your entrepreneurial tea. I like to say that. Don't overlook the invisible support just because it's quiet. Okay, let me say that one more time. Don't overlook the invisible support just because it's quiet. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm learning that. There are some people that are going to be able to do it in the front, but there are some people who are doing it in the back end and they truly do support you. So give them their flowers too. Recognize it. Before you give them the flowers, you have to recognize it. Hey, I appreciate you keeping the kids. Look, for me, something little as I appreciate you taking my daughter's braids down because I didn't have the time to do it, right? Those little things that can be stressful. They can take, energy from you. They take time, which is something you can't get back. That's support, y'all. I'm trying to be real practical about it. I'm taking it and making it real trivial because it could be that limited. It doesn't have to be that deep. All right. Did I tell you my summer camp was great today? Oh my gosh. I just want to go back. I want to talk about that first. My summer camp went really well. I know I talked about it earlier, but I just got a flashback when I'm talking about support. Like, I remember when I was so worried a month ago because I got no enrollments. I was like, no one is enrolling for my camp. I think it's the best thing out here. What's the problem? I have podcasting, photography, gardening coming soon, sewing. They have to read every day. So they do deer time, drop everything and read. Of course, they have outdoor time. They have rec time. Like, why are these people not biting? And my team, the supporters, kept saying, be easy, calm down, pump your brakes. It's going to happen. You just be, and even that, just someone telling you to breathe, be calm. And if this doesn't work out, we'll cross that bridge then. We will together. That's support, y'all. All right, let me go back to my notes. We're going to take a quick purpose pause, all right? And then I'm going to regroup. So when I come back, I'll finish up talking about other forms of support and how they manifest in your life. All right, we'll be right back. At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, our focus is on developing the whole child. We do this by focusing on our core value system, which is the acronym HEAL. That stands for Holistic Health, Mind, Body, and Spirit. E stands for Economic and Entrepreneurship. A stands for Academic Success. And L stands for Leader Development. So what our goal is to do is to make sure they are academically, socially, and emotionally sound individuals.
Kingdom Kids has made a big impact on all three of my children. I have a 5-year-old that's reading very well, can express his emotions. Which is really big. I have an 11-year-old who was having problems with ADHD, focusing in the traditional school, and now he's here. We appreciate the one-on-one Miss Tanisha has for our children.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we don't just teach. Our goal is to build future leaders.
Hi, I am Zoe, and I am a graduate from Kingdom Kids. I enjoyed and loved the program so much to the point where I come back on my free time and volunteer.
We believe every child is born with greatness. We believe every kid has a quirk. At Kingdom Kids, our goal is to empower them to soar and reach it.
If you're ever looking for a place that your child can be wholesome, your child can be who they are, and the teacher can meet them where they are, I truly would say Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we're looking for All right, y'all, we're back from our purpose pause. And in that moment that we took a break, I came back and I kind of reflected on what the next segment is going to look like. And it's going to require us to just kind of close our eyes for just a moment and just kind of think, because I'm going to get a little bit deeper into the root cause analysis, why we deflect support, right? Why do we deflect when people are trying to offer support? Especially when it's the support that you can see up front, right? Like not the one that we talk about prayer that's behind the scenes. We talk about the ones where people are directly saying, hey, I got your back, right? And you like, because that was me. Like, I think that's why it was so hard for me to see when people were like, you're going to be good. Or when my board are saying, what can we help you with? I've heard several times, matter of fact, from my impact board member, she said to me the other day, I want to help you, but you won't let us. And she didn't really say it like that, but she was just like, you don't tell us what you need. And I usually cover that up by saying, oh, I don't know what I need. But you guys see me, I'm usually prepared for things, right? So I know essentially if I sat down and thought it through, I know what I need. But what it is in the root cause analysis is that I'm afraid to ask because I don't want to be told no, or I don't want it to not get done or not get done the way I want it to get done. It's part of the reason why I stopped teaching with the school system. It's part of the reason why I stopped doing daycare. Like it's the same thing. And so why would I put that on somebody else? And what I mean by that is I didn't want someone to tell me how to teach my students if I was getting to the goal, right? If I was meeting proficiency, why are you telling me how I have to do it? The same thing with support. If someone is coming to you and they're offering you something and you're like, well, that's not how I would have done it. If they get the goal accomplished, why am I micromanaging their efforts? And I found myself doing that a lot. If you've done that, really reflect on that and ask yourself why. Why am I biased to someone's way of doing something? And how is that impacting the goal, the end result, right? Because you should be outcome based, right? You want to see something get accomplished. But here you go, micromanaging the process, hovering over it, when you could be doing 12 other things, especially if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, right? Or working in your entrepreneur space. Delegation is an art. There's books on it, right? It is imperative as well, because if you think you can do everything, you're going to fail. Furthermore, if you try to do everything, your business is going to fail. You cannot be the CFO, the COO. You cannot be the marketing person, although I've been that. But once you start getting up, you got to start relinquishing some of that stuff. You got to find the people who do that and do it well. That's been my thing, y'all. Stop right there. That has been my thing for the last maybe year, maybe 2. My son told me this a few years ago when I had the daycare. I had a body sculpting company. Some of y'all who've been following me seen all of the endeavors. I was throwing stuff up against the wall and see what sticks. Because I am a hard worker, I was good at the things, but that didn't mean that the businesses flourished. There's a difference. You can be good at a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that you'll be great at one thing. And that's the goal. And you can add things on later. But my thing these last 2 years is do one thing and do it good. I'm talking about do the hell out of it. Because the Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And essentially what that means is just that. You got 2, 3 things going on at the same time. No rhyme or reason. You can be good at it, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. All of these things are sayings that are not just sayings for the sake of being sayings, right? They're a thing. And so I resented it at first because I was like, well, all of these things I'm doing good. But nothing was flourishing. Or when it did flourish, there became tension, friction, right? Or there became restrictions. Well, this business might be picking up over here, but I still have an obligation to this business over here. And so it just, you don't have the capacity to do everything. So delegation is essential, but also doing one thing and doing it well. And when you get that baby up off the ground, then you go pick up another one. It's kind of like, some people say, well, having twins that's easy, right? And I can see why they say that. But then other people say, man, I like the idea of having one kid. And then once I get that kid off and running, then I bring another kid into the world because now I kind of got my mojo. I know how to be a mom or dad. I got this thing down pat. Of course, sidebar, every kid gives you a different view and make you question your parenting each time. But you get my point, right? You have these children and you kind of get your rhythm and you're like, okay, here we can do another one now, right? And you add on. It's the same thing with the business. I have 2 businesses, actually 3, because this is, I consider a business. It's my 3rd business. And so I let go of all of the other businesses that didn't align with my core value, my internal core value system. And so when people say, well, sis, you have 2 businesses. Yeah, but I have 2 schools. So essentially I've birthed something else out of me. Same mama, that's me, but they still align to the same thing. So it's not so far-fetched or far-reaching. Technically, Impact is just an extension of Kingdom Kids. I just created a separate entity because of the way I'll be billing. Shout out to me. Let's just stop right there. Y'all, I'm so tired, but I'm so excited. I just got to put a little break in here and just kind of congratulate. Impact Child Behavioral Services has just been able, we've just gotten our Medicaid credential. I don't know how big people, I don't think people know how big this is. I have a school now for children with special needs. I know I'm jumping around, but I'm not. It'll get back to it. I have a school with children for children with special needs who the restriction is some parents do what's called applied behavioral analysis, which is ABA therapy, particularly for children on the autism spectrum. And then they have the EC, Exceptional Children Department at school. You have some parents who absolutely love ABA. You have some parents who absolutely love EC, but the majority, if we do a little bell curve, right? The majority of them sit right in the middle. They don't like either because it's restricting. Behavioral analysis only focuses on the behavior with a sprinkle of education, because again, their desire is to make sure the child, what they call manned or pay attention or do as they're told, right? Which is fine. No parent wants their kid ripping and running across the restaurant when they sit there. So yes, at some point you want your child to manned, right? But then the other side, when you have a child, ultimately you see all the things. You see your child going to school, you see your child graduating, getting a vehicle, driving, getting their license, and I've been told by a mother, and it's kind of true, particularly because now I have a son who has a traumatic brain injury and he's learning how to do everything all over again. He's 23. And so I've had him for 22 years as a typical or normal kid. And now I'm watching him have to learn how to walk all over again, talk all over again, feed himself, like all the things he has to learn how to do all over again. And I heard someone say, you're mourning the death when you have an autistic kid of what you thought your child was going to be. That thing hit me so differently. And this was before my son had the traumatic brain injury. And so now, as hopeful and faithful as I am, my son is not going to be the same dude he was before this happened. So I have to look at him every day mourning who he was for 22 years. Insane. Another side note, this is why I do what I do. Some people say, how in the world are you managing, and you got a son who was in a life-threatening car accident because of a drunk driver, right? And was hit by this person and left incapacitated. Faith. Those prayers that I talked about, that support. Family members who sent packages to the house. I'm talking about laundry detergent. People who sent, I don't know, paper towels. My brother and sister-in-law sent paper towels. My brother and sister-in-law sent a care package with diapers for my son. Shea butter, like all these little things that you take for granted, but it takes and chips away at your finances, but your child needs it, right? And so that's support. We talked about financial support, but then phone calls, people just calling me to make me laugh. But also I know that my son would not have wanted, I know my son. He's the one who told me, Ma, do something great. Do the one thing and do it good, right? Like, stop popcorning all over here. Focus on that. Because he helped me build my daycare, which morphed, obviously, we know this now, into my school. But he said, do that thing and do it great, Mom. And so when this all first happened last July, my spirit told me I couldn't quit. Although my body wanted to, my mind wanted to. But I don't know who told me this. Someone told me this, but they said, imagine he comes out of this and then finds out you gave everything up. He'd be so disappointed. And he probably feels so bad on the inside that my mother gave all of this up for me. It sounds weird, but when you have people who really care about you and really want to support, hello, here we go. Support. People want to support you. They want to see you go. They want to see you thrive. They don't want to see you quit. You don't know how many people are hanging their hat on your progression. We love talk about the people hating on us. They want to pray for my downfall. Good for them. Like, what God has for you is for you. Simple, period. Done. But what about the people who really want to see you win? What about the people who have sown into you and now you're just going to quit? That's a slap in their face. Someone told me a month ago, or asked me a few months ago, she said, would it be easier to just get a job? Because I don't want to say I was complaining, but I was venting, right? Oh, it's so difficult. Uh, but I wasn't saying it to say, quit. I was just saying, listen, I'm having a regular human moment. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a challenge. But it's not impossible, right? And so I have this conversation with the person, and good-hearted person, not being a hater, just throwing out solutions, right? Could this be a solution? Maybe you quit and get a regular job. I paused. Oh my God, let me clench my pearls. What is she talking about? Blasphemous. Work me? No. But then I stopped and I said, I can't do that. Because the person who's been supporting me most, that's what his name is, G-O-D, Big Daddy, he put this on me. And I said to her, my big girl spiritual moment, I said, that'd be disrespectful to God. That'd be me saying I quit and that I don't trust that he can do what he said he was going to do and that I can do all things through Christ. That would be me being straight blasphemous. That would be me just turning my back on someone who has supported me on this journey. Listen here, when I tell you not a seed begging for bread on this entrepreneurial journey, ain't no loans coming through here. This is all out the mud for me. Now, not the best business strategy. I'll talk about that on a later date, but here we are. I've been doing it out the mud. Not self-made, but God-made. Shout out to Dr. Glover. She gave me that today, right? All out the mud. But I know the provisions, AKA the manna, has come from the man up above. So if I turn my back after he done carried me this far, shame on me. Disgusting. I'm tired, y'all. I done worked today with all of these kids. I went from having just my small little bit of students to having, I think today we had 22, 23 kiddos in our summer camp. Some of them on the spectrum. They were amazing children. Some of them not. All of them new to Kingdom Kids and me. So me having to learn them. But those parents support and trust me. So that's another form of support, right? So yeah, I couldn't walk away. But I was talking about delegation and the importance. I told you I was gonna come back. I know what I'm talking about. Delegation is very important. That's important. And so we need to look at the reasons why we decide we don't want to take people up on their support. So I'm going to go ahead and read this so I can stop talking and rambling and carrying on, right? It says, where have I been refusing support because I felt I had to earn it? That's kind of deep. We can come back to that in a moment. Who have I been too prideful to ask for help? I was talking to another homegirl and she was going through something. And I was like, yo, ask your people. No, my pride. She dead straight said that. And this season that I've been in, pride out the window. Baby, I need help. Quick. My sister-in-law called me one day and said, what do you need? What does Supreme need? I said, oh, Supreme needs blah, blah, blah. Then she said, but more importantly, what do you need? I thought about it. I said, well, I don't need anything, right? God has supplied all my needs. Honestly, I eat well. I'm not hungry. I've actually gained weight. Got a double chin. I ain't mad, right? I'm good on the terms of need. But then I said, you know what? I need some makeup. My makeup was running low. So she was like, I understand. I'm a makeup girly too. I understand. And I look up and there was a $200 gift card to Ulta. I was in there like supermarket sweep, y'all. I read up on everything. Oh, thank you, sis, for that. It really and it came on time. And when I told my daughter, I said, "Well, I told her I need to make a mom. How dare you?" Because she asked me what I needed. And one thing we have to learn is we'll block our blessing when someone asks you and they want to sow into you, and you tell them, "No, no, 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 I'm good." One, like I said, why are you doing that? That's a trauma response. Something happened and your pride is now getting in the way. And you need to really look at that root cause analysis and peel that thing up and throw it out, right? Because it's going to grow and it's going to grow from that trauma experience. And you're going to miss out, block your blessing, lose your support. Bad idea, period. Bad. Nope, no good. All right. What burdens am I carrying that were never mine to carry alone? That's another thing. Sometimes you don't even need that much support as much support as you think you need. Why? Because you're too busy carrying everybody else's mess. My brother said something that I love. It aggravates the heck out of me, but he says it all the time. He says, "I'm sorry to hear that." It's so condescending because he's really not sorry. Has nothing to do with him, right? And that's his way of saying, "I don't know what to tell you." I had another person, one of my old landlords. I would give him stories about, situations I was going through, and he'd be like, "Not my problem." Thought he was the most crass jerk I've ever. I've been using those terms lately. Not my problem. Sorry to hear that, because it really is not. And I heard a sermon when the guy said, sometimes we step in and take on people's problems when that was meant for God to help them work through it. Now you just pushing them back because there's something that they need to learn. Here we go. Captain Save them. Oh, let me do that for you. No, let them get through that because it's not going to kill them. Let's start there. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is, but it is going to be as bad as needed to get that person to learn the lesson or not. Because at the end of the day, let's just say someone keeps getting into perpetual financial issues and you keep bailing them out. When are they going to learn? So what burdens are you carrying of other folk, right? That's going to, one, hinder them. Let's start with that while you're trying to save everybody. But it's going to hinder you because it's setting you back. Double-edged sword. Not good. Let it go. All right. Now, affirm this with me. I am worthy of help. I am supported by God and by the people I allow myself to receive from. This weekend showed that. I always want to do it myself. Oh, I can do this. Well, guess what? I didn't have a commercial bounce house. I would have had to rent it. But my team said, "Yo, I got a bounce house." I don't know a personal DJ. I know people who DJ, but they're not my personal DJ. I'd have to pay them resources that I don't have to have made that a success. How about the hot dogs that had to get purchased and the buns that have to get purchased, right? Like I would have tried to get all of that stuff myself in the old time, right? But in this season, this due season, no, I received that. Thank you very much. I was ushering people in. You can just put that right over here. Thank you. Good stuff. Because many hands make light work. And when we all put together, right? And when we don't reject the help, man, imagine. I don't have to imagine because I saw it myself. Look what happens. Good stuff. Results, outcomes, right? That's what support looks like. That's what's necessary to move your business forward. Heck, to move your life forward. So you need to delegate nicely, right? Not nasty, but with some sense, right? You need to make sure that you're firm in what you need, but also you have to know what you need, right? I told you, someone asked me, "What do you need?" I don't know what I mean. Well, know what you need, right? You got to know what you need. It's like not knowing your numbers. If you go to an interview and someone says, "Well, how much do you need to make?" And you be like, "Whatever you want to give me." Then they give you something short and it sounds good until you go to try to pay your bills and they not meeting. Know your numbers. Know what you need. Then you can ask, right? And even if they give you a portion of that, you're halfway to the good versus nowhere, right? All right. Here's what I'm going to read. The myth of a self-made entrepreneur. I said this earlier, but not self-made, you're God-made. But let me read this. Let's kill this myth. Self-made doesn't exist. Nobody does this alone. Jesus had disciples. He had 12 of them. Okay. Beyonce has a team. I've seen it. We all watched her. Well, not all, but we watched her videos, right? Like she has a team. I was watching someone's video the other day of Mary J. Blige just standing still in a room. When I say it was people, the only thing that caught me, and I'm a big Mary J. Blige fan, right? The only thing I saw in that video was the people around her making sure she was good as she stood there. It was literally a guy behind her while she's standing there talking regular to somebody, doing her hair. I couldn't believe it. I said, yo, dude, he in her hair, ain't he? Another person patting her makeup. I know we imagine these things, but when to really see that in real life, like I looked on the phone, I'm looking at the image, I'm looking at this girl getting done up to just stand there. But that's a team. Because imagine her sitting there pulling out her doggone wig comb, trying to flip her. It looks crazy, right? It might seem a little obnoxious, but the point I'm trying to make is for her to look the way she needs to look at a certain event or venue or what have you, she needs a team, and her team was teaming. Okay. All right. So it says all these people have a team: Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Jesus, right? You need one too. You cannot be self-made, right? Today, my mom was texting me and she was like, hey, actually last night, she's the chairman of my impact board. And so I wanted to connect with this lady, and I really don't want her to fall off. I really want her to come on the board actually for impact, but I also want her connection. She has a lot of connections that I know will move impact forward. And so I'm sitting there looking at my calendar like, dang, I really don't have a room on my calendar to meet this woman. But I also don't want her to fall off and then become like a distant, be distant in the long run. So I hit up my team. Hey, Ma, this lady is really dope. She's really community based. She got a lot of resources, a lot of things that it's going to take us years to try to plug into. Can you reach out to her and you have a conversation with her? They met today. I wouldn't have been able to meet. I told you my schedule was packed. 7:45 all the way till 5. Walked out the door 10 after 5. Hit the high road, the highway. Got here at 6 after when I'm supposed to be here at 6. And then when I get out of here, I got to finish my paper for school. And then get ready to do it all over again tomorrow. Thankfully, I have no meetings. But the point is, right back at them. So for my mom to make that meeting and be able to focus on that, take some really good notes, send me the notes from that, then I can just look at that and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that was a great meeting. Let me take a bit and piece what I need to know out of this, ask a few questions. But now I didn't have to be present for that. That's what support looks like. That's what using your team. That's what delegation looks like. And guess what? My mother was happy to do it because that's her thing. But most of the time, I could do it myself. I couldn't. There's a resistance. There's a time capacity, only a certain amount of hours in a day. This is where burnout comes from. And we like to have that mentality that you go, go, go. And there are times where you do need to go. You need to push that thing. You need to put that battery in your back and you need to push it out. Today for me is going to be one of those days because I'm going to have that paper done by 12 o'clock. Some people gave me a scholarship. I owe that to myself. I owe it to them people who gave me that scholarship. But then there's going to be days where I'm going to do nothing but sit home and watch a Tubi and eat some chip and dip. And I'm not going to feel no way about it because if something needs to happen, I got a team that can help me get it done. Feels great. Don't get me wrong. Hard work still has to happen. But I'm utilizing my team wisely, right, to get things done effectively and efficiently. Okay. All right. And now let's get real. Sometimes the people you thought would support you just don't. I talked about that. Not gonna belabor the point. My show is about to be over in about 10 minutes. But you do, I am gonna recognize that as a thing, right? I'm not gonna disregard that you do get in your feelings because we're human. I was like that 2 weeks ago. Why aren't the people clapping out loud for me? Well, the reality is they've been clapping for years. How did you get your degrees? How did you get, your home? Who helped you watch the kids while you was doing doubles to make sure you got this, and that done? Who was watching the kids when you were in the office for hours, right? Those people were supporting you. No, they may not have stood up and been, but they were 10 toes down regardless. This is me preaching to myself so that I don't even get into my spirit. I just keep it moving. And to my pastor's point, I don't make it a thing. Like, if they're there, they're there. If they're not, they're not. At the end of the day, you'll know, you'll feel it, you'll understand it in the end, right? But it's not a thing either way. What I say, you clap for them, you sold into them, you showed up, and now that is your time. They're silent. Or in retrospect, so you think. Because I want to be very clear, and I keep saying this, just because they're not loud doesn't mean they're not there. All right now. But hear me clearly. Don't feel bad when the people you expected to show up don't. Everybody can't relate to the process. Some folks simply don't know how to show up for the vision you're carrying. Now, that's a thing. That's a thing. Some people don't know how to support you. I was talking to my man Kev, one of my board members. I was telling him one day, I'm like, people think you bigger than you think you are. Like, people don't want to reach out to you because they think you big. We see ourselves regular. I'm just Mimi from around the way. But people tell me all the time, oh, girl, I know you busy. It almost bothers me when I hear them say that. But the reality is, I am busy. Like, you can't downplay what's real. You can't. And so when you realize that other people don't know how to approach you or remember who you are or know who you are now, they just remember who you were. So they don't know where they fit in. This again, where delegation. This is when you got to pick up the phone and call. This is what my brother said, because I got angry. Like, why aren't you checking for me? Your nephew is in the hospital. Your nephew's this. And he was like, sis, what you need? Like, pick up the phone and call me. My goddaughter said, Mom, you carry yourself like you good. Like, nobody's going to know to just call you and be like, you need anything? Sometimes you do have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. But on the other end, sometimes people just think you good because the way you carry yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's where you have to be okay and swallow your pride and say, in this moment, in this season, I will be. But in this moment, right now, I need your help. I need your support. This is how it looks. Now, don't be like me when they say no. Don't be like, bet. I'm going to do this myself, because that's where we go wrong. Find someone else where that person wouldn't, someone else will. Don't stop. And I'm in that season right now. You can't do it for whatever reason. It's not personal. I'm not going to take it personally. I'll go to someone else. Because what one person won't do, for whatever reason, someone else is laying in the bush ready to. That's probably like where I'm going to kind of leave it at. I still got a few more things to say, but that's a big one. That's a big tea bag to drop in your entrepreneurial tea and sip it. Don't take it personally. Move on. Circumvent. What one person won't do, someone else will. And recognize that maybe they just can't in that moment. Or maybe you asked them something that was out of their comfort zone. And that's fair too. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, let's say you had a bag, right? And they like, yo, let me hold 15,000. And you like, no. But then now here you go and you asking them for the same thing, knowing you wouldn't have been comfortable doing the same thing. Can't be hypocritical on this thing either. You got to really think about it. What is their comfort level in that? You ask someone to watch your kid and they like, nah, maybe they know that their man ain't worth nothing. I don't want your kids around my man. That's me being silly. But my point is, you don't know. You don't know their comfort level. Don't make it a thing. All right. Here I go. Release the resentment so you can receive the right reinforcement. Expecting love from the wrong place can block the love that's trying to reach you. And that's kind of what I'm saying, like circumvent it. And it doesn't even mean that they don't love you. It just might more so mean that they're not comfortable with the ask, right? The thing you need in that moment, either they don't have the capacity, the wherewithal, or they simply don't feel comfortable. And that's not personal. It's personal to them, not to you. Again, a lot of this is just to help you to move on, right? Because if you stay in that place, I said this 2 weeks ago, it creates trauma, a little tree in your stomach that grows to your mind and tells you you're not good enough. You're not worthy. Close off, do it yourself, and that's where you bump your head. Don't do it. Support is out there. It just may not look or feel like you thought it would. And really, what's the big deal? If a whole bunch of people scream your name or sharing your post and all that, is it really doing anything? Is it paying your bills? It's not. So you want that support that's real. Like we say, I love that love that's real. You want that support that's real. That's going to push you to the next level. That's going to hold you down so you can catapult to that next level. That's the real authentic support that you need. So what does that look like? And I'm going to kind of leave it at that because I have other notes, but the bottom line is evaluate what you really need support to look like and what you need it to do for you. That's the bigger piece. What do you need support to do for you? What conduit of change? You heard that? Big word. What conduit of change do you need that support to be? Once you can identify that, then it's just like with a grant. This is the business side of me, right? Once you know, okay, I need $250,000, then you break it down, right? You like, I need 20,000 on computers. I need 60,000 on my lease. I need, 100,000 on staffing, right? Now you don't have to go to somebody asking for the whole ticket. You don't need the whole 250,000 from one person, but I can go get an in-kind donation for some computers. Boom, take that off the list. That's support. They didn't give you the whole 250. You're not going to be mad at them. You're not going to go to IBM and say, you didn't give me 250,000. No, you're going to say, thank you for giving me $100,000 worth of computers. That's support. So why ask someone for all when you can just spin the block and just break it down and get what you need? Get what you need. Listen, support looks all kinds of different ways. We talked about it. Go back and play this again and again and again so you can stop being resentful. So you can start looking at people for who they are and let people off the hook. This your girl, T. Marie. I'm asking you to break free. I'm asking you to release the chains. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, it's there for the taking. And I'm going to walk you all the way through with a couple of tea bags for you to dip in your entrepreneurial tea. Check this out. I'm out of here. I got a 15-page paper to knock out. Also, I could turn around and do it again. This is what entrepreneurship look like. How bad do you really want it? Listen, I holla.